It's just to allow the body to get into that natural beat, that natural way. And I said, oh, that's fun, that's good, you know. And since then, if you are positive and you work hard, you can accomplish anything that anybody else can.
はい、皆さんこんにちは、チューバサダーズです。こんにちは。はい、スーパー特別ゲスト、ティム・バズビーさんです。イエーイ
Hello everyone, I'm Tim Busby. I'm principal tuba of the Melbourne Symphony Orchestra, and I'm also tuba and euphonium instructor at the University of Melbourne Conservatorium of Music. It's a very long title, but thanks for having me here.
でバズビーさん、あんまり日本に来たことがこれまでなかったというところで、おそらくインターネット上で特に有名な動画としてはカルミノ・バズビーナとか低音とかこのフォルティシモっていうところですごく有名なところがあると思うんですが、そのモットーとか哲学みたいなのがあればちょっとお聞きしたいなと思うんですけど、いかがでしょうか？
It's quite simple. I get asked this a lot everywhere, and I think probably the answer is always so uninteresting. Everybody's hoping that I just say, you know, do this, do this, do this, do this, and this will happen. But it's not like that, because I try to. It's nothing that I ever developed. I didn't wake up one day and I said, "Ooh, I want to be a really big, loud tuba player." I think maybe just the way I went through university playing in the marching band, so you have to play quite loud in the marching bands. But also later, when I started getting asked this question, how do you do it, how do you do it? I had to think, well, how do I do it? Because it was very natural to me. And I relate it to the same thing I do if I'm going to yell at someone. Like I say all the time, like if you see a little old lady crossing the street and there's a car coming, you know, you go, hey! Like that, you know? And it comes from here, and the air is like this, you know, and it's deep. You know, you don't go, hey! You know, it's you're wanting to get someone's attention very fast. And so that's the same way I do when I play the tuba. That's my concept, is as simple as that, you know. Obviously you have to have the right oral, you know, cavity and the right volume of air. I think a lot of people their air is too fast. They think loud, and so they blow fast air. I try to think big, not loud, so it keeps my air warm and fat, like a nice cheeseburger. So yeah, that's basically it, you know. I know, again, it's not, everybody's like, that's it. but that's it. Yeah.
Well, it was quite interesting for me to know that you have the concept of yelling, because I never have thought about playing the tuba like that. Yeah. So that was quite interesting for me too.
Yeah. Well, I think if you do it, if you hey, you know, and you practice that, and you think about what the body does to produce that sound. I mean, it's not, you know, you're not playing like that. So, and then if you do that a few times, just think about and yell, and then you pick the horn up and just take a nice easy note and do the same thing. You know, the immediacy of air has to be here. That's the other problem. A lot of people the air goes like that. It develops as it leaves the embouchure, and I'm hoping that the air is developed here already, and it comes out already formed in a block, you know, and a nice volume, like not loud volume, but like volume of air. So it's just a practice. Same thing with playing soft. That's the other thing. Like everybody always talks about my loud playing, loud, but I'm very proud of my soft playing. You know, like I can play really soft, and it's the same concept. Like then I remind myself what it takes to whisper to somebody, but somebody like, you know, people way over there, like, hey, do you hear me over there? You know, that takes even more support. You know, and it's intense. You know, again, it's like a little kid getting in trouble, the parents doesn't want everybody to hear that the kid's in trouble, and you go, you better stop it, you better stop it. That's an incredible amount of tension, like good tension, to create this very live but very soft. So I just try to relate it to as organic and as natural things that I can think of.
So it's stuff we do for a living, and you just put that into the instrument.
Yeah. Same thing with breathing. Everybody overthinks breathing, especially as tuba players. That's all we talk about, breathing exercises, and spending 15-20 minutes before you play on all these in for 4s and out for 8s and 16s and all this stuff. And I think if we could relate our breath to something more natural and organic that the body does naturally, because obviously it's not a natural thing to go, we're not walking around breathing like that. But there are things in our life that we do breathe like that, swimming, running. Anytime you're exercising, you're using a much larger capacity of your air. And so, because you can do 4s and 4s and 8s and 8s, you can do all that stuff, but if you're doing it the wrong way, you're not helping yourself. So, and if you think, like, when I have a lot of young children at home, and when they were very small, you watch them in their crib, like in their little beds, breathe, it was, their little chest would go up and their little chest would go down. And it was just like the most organic, natural thing that you could possibly see and hear. And no one told them how to do that. No one taught them breathing exercises to be able to do that. It's just a natural thing that we do. But when we start to overanalyze and we start to think too much, bad habits can actually be created, Like we think about what our shoulders do. We think about what our diaphragm does. We're thinking, we're analyzing constantly. And I try, obviously I have to, as a teacher, I have to analyze. I have to figure out and understand what makes people work and tick, and how I can express myself as a teacher to them. Because as you guys know, like sometimes one teacher can say something and the other teacher says almost the same thing, but just changes it. And this makes sense, but this teacher's been telling the student that for years. It's like, why don't you do, I've told you this. Like, oh really? Oh, I didn't understand it. So it's just a different thing. So you have to change and you have to adapt. But at the end of the day, like I have my students in Melbourne do push-ups. I have them do jumping jacks, just to get, and then I tell them, think now. Think about what the body's doing naturally. You're not thinking about your shoulders. You're not thinking about your diaphragm. Your body is telling you, I need air. Give me air. And you're breathing. And that's the same way I try my best to play the tuba. And some days are better than others, like everybody, But if I don't feel good here, I always try to remind myself the simplest things. Tim, just breathe. Just take a nice, relaxing breath, okay? And normally things finally start to work, And that's not really anything to do with nerves, like being nervous, and that's a whole another story. But it's just to allow the body to get into that natural being, that natural way that we should, like we are now. We're just 5 human beings sitting around talking. That's pretty natural, So why should the tuba be any different? So like soon we will be 5 human beings playing the tuba together, And it should be nothing different because we're communicating. It's all communication.
そうは言ってもやっぱり低い音、大きい音で吹くのやっぱり好きですか?
Yeah, of course. Doesn't every tuba player? When I first went to university, so I was 18, 19 years old, I thought there was only 6 major scales. Only 6, there's more, Anyways, 12, yes. So, the committee asked me, could you play all your major scales? And I played all 6 and put my tuba down. And I sit there, and so it kind of shows you about where I was as a young tuba player. And then my first teacher, he came on stage and gave me a tuba lesson, my first ever tuba lesson. And he said, okay, so what's the lowest note you can play? And I was playing a B flat, 3-valve B flat tuba. So I told him, low E. He's like, all right, let's hear that. I played it. He's like, oh, that's good. Why don't you just play the B flat below that? And I said, I can't. I don't have any more valves. And, he said, no, you can do this. And he played a pedal B flat for me. And I was just like, what is that? That's so cool. And he said, so basically you just kind of do this and you do this. And he told me a few things, which I do totally opposite now, actually, to be honest, because I can't really do what he told me to do really well. Anyway, so I tried it and I just, a pedal B flat. He was just, what? And I said, oh, that's fun. That's good. And since then it's something that's always been quite easy. I don't really have to practice it. I just have to keep it refined. So yeah, of course, I love playing low loud notes, like any tuba player. I don't know if many of my colleagues in the orchestra like me playing low loud notes, but but I enjoy it. So you have to be careful because it's like there's a percentage of, okay, today I'm gonna go 10% and see what happens, and you say, okay, 5%. But sometimes you get a conductor like the Carmina Buzzbina thing. He said, I want this first note as loud as possible. And my colleagues just kind of like, so I did, bam, and that's fun. And a few weeks ago we did one of the Star Wars, like Empire Strikes Back, or I can't remember which one we did, but there's a spot in there also with another concert D, just only tuba solo. Marked like 4 Fs with Zs around it. So it's like, again, the conductor's like, and you just, bah! So every once in a while you get to actually do your job.
Well, we're glad to hear that.
I really like your loud note because that's not just loud, with nice shape, and really in tune.
Yeah.
Not like bam, it's really sustained.
Yes, thank you.
That's beautiful actually.
Yeah.
日本のちょっとビギナーとかアマチュアとかチューバを練習中の人とかにもっと言い残したことで何かメッセージがあれば。
First thing is, it doesn't matter what part of Japan or where you're from. You have, if you are positive and you work hard, you can accomplish anything that anybody else can. Because that's something that I never understood till much later in my life. Second thing is, you do the work, you get the results. Simple, If you don't do the work, you don't get the results. Third thing is, don't rush the process. You have to, as they say, you have to crawl before you can walk. You have to walk before you can run. A lot of times I hear young players who just they're trying to play pieces that are too hard, or they have a concept, they have a routine, they have all the right things available to them, and they're rushing it, or they're skipping over it. Like many times, if a student wants to have a big sound, but they're not doing long tones, if they're not doing flow studies, if they're not doing the sound concept exercises, then they're never going to get it. If a student wants to be a famous soloist, but they're not spending a lot of time on technique and flexibility, range, and score study, listening to great musicians, these type of things, it's never going to happen. So you have to first decide who you want to be as a player and as a person, and then you have to build everything around that. Because many times I think we dream, we all have these dreams, and they just remain dreams because you don't put the plan in motion. You don't set a schedule, you don't set a routine that's going to get you to that goal. So, and also, like, don't forget to have, yes, we can all have our big dreams, you know, I don't know, whatever, most famous soloist ever, or playing the Berlin, Vienna, Chicago, New York, whatever, symphony orchestras. But if you don't have smaller dreams to get you to the big dream, it's going to be very hard to get the momentum and the confidence, because every time you win, every time you succeed, you gain momentum, you gain confidence. And as you gain confidence, you start to almost crave for another win, success. So, and the more successes you have, the easier it'll be to get to the big dream. So, but you have to do the work and do it the right way. You don't have to play high as possible at the very beginning. You don't have to play as low or as loud, soft as possible. You have to start from the beginning. Just simple things. How to set. It sounds so simple, but to really learn how to set and hold the tuba, you know, because so many tuba players, they lean like this, they're going to the tuba. It's just simple things, you know, learning to put the tuba on your lap, bring the horn to yourself, you know, as good posture as you can create, good breathing techniques, you know, and then simple concept of creating tone, a beautiful tone. You know, if you don't have that, you shouldn't be doing anything else. And that's boring. I know it's boring. It's not the fun stuff. But you'll never be able to do the fun stuff good if you don't do the boring stuff really, really, really great. Okay? So that's my advice for the young ones. And good luck.
はい、というふうな感じでね、最近大阪でコンサートがあって実際目の当たりにした人も多いと思いますが、実際のところ本当ただ音が大きいだけじゃなくてもう全てのテクニックに優れた本当に素晴らしいチューバ奏者ですので、もう僕らが言える立場ではないんですが、もうこれからもどうぞご注目くださいということで、その流れとこれからちょっと僕たちも一緒に演奏する動画とか上げていきますので、ぜひ聞いてみてください。Thank you, then let's play something.
Good. Yeah.